Good morning. It's good to see everybody. So I've not yet had the chance to meet everybody in the room. My name is Scott Bierman, and I am a member of the economics department at Beloit College. I also work in the president's office. So this morning, some of you, some of the more intrepid of you, some of our finest alumni got up early this morning to run or walk in the presidential 5-kilometer event. The rest of you, I guess, arrived a little bit later than 7:30. But I'm remarkably out of shape right now, and as everyone took off and got far ahead of me, and I could watch them go through this route, and I've measured the route, and I know it's about a 5K. And about 2/3 of the way through, there's an opportunity to chop off a couple hundred yards by going a different way. And I thought, gosh, presidents in recent times take advantage of those opportunities to cheat just a little bit. And so, why not? And so I ran 200 yards shy of a 5 kilometers this morning. But if I am asked about this later on today, I will deny having done it or having said anything about it to any of you. Welcome. It's good to have you back home, back at Beloit, back in Eaton Chapel. We have chosen this location, in particular this year, because the pews are firmly bolted to the floor. Any attempt to stack the pews on this stage in protest of this contentious welcome will be thwarted by these bolts. Don't let anyone tell you that I am incapable of learning. Last year was the 50th reunion of the very first class to graduate under the famous new Beloit plan. For a full decade, they talked about theirs being the biggest 50th reunion in the college's history. They are, after all, the famous Beloit guinea pigs. And they had a lot of people return. Maybe it was a record, but fast forward 365 days, and we are here today with the class of 1969, today's Golden Hooders. Would the class of 1969 please stand in all of their regalia? And there are significantly more Beloiters back from the class of 1969 than returned last year in the class of 1968. At least 2 standard deviations more, which makes them significantly better. This weekend does not happen without a ton of work. Would you please join me in thanking the Development and Alumni Relations staff for making this weekend so very special. What an honor it is to be with you here today. This must be the best looking Alumni Assembly in the history of the college. For God's sakes, Mark Spreitzer is here. How could it be otherwise? It is a great day to be a Beloiter. We are here at this Alumni Assembly to celebrate our alumni. It is as simple as that. Whatever sins you committed as betas or teaks or phi psis, but particularly betas, are now just viewed as youthful indiscretions. Those meetings you had with Dean Bill Flanagan that began with, "You're kidding. What were you thinking?" are now the source of laughter with your children as you recount with them your days as sweet, mad youth of old Beloit, a 10-page paper that you began at 1 a.m. in the morning and that you turned in 9 hours later without even checking the spelling, and then expected a faculty member to write copious notes to help you become a better writer, has in fact left a bitter scar with whatever faculty you inflicted with that god-awful atrocity. But even that deep scar is fading. We are here to celebrate you. One of the best parts of my job are to meet with lots of alumni from across many generations. Among the most glaring things that I learned is that the further removed an alum is from their date of graduation, the more they appreciate and the more substantively they articulate the role that this college played in the quality of their lives, their careers, their work as citizens of various communities, their personal lives. A college guide that is particularly important to us is entitled Colleges That Changed Lives. It includes 4 to 5 page descriptions of about 40 schools that the authors argue are disproportionately transformative. We are one of those 40 schools. The section on Beloit concludes with the following 2 sentences. Quote, "One alumna, an English PhD candidate at the University of California, Davis, sums it up perfectly, a skill she likely sharpened at Beloit. Beloit alums, she says, don't settle for lives they have to live. They choose the lives they want to live. And there is no better endorsement for a liberal arts education than the freedom to choose your own adventure, not just for 4 years, but for the rest of your life," unquote. Choose the life you want to live rather than a life you have to live. No wonder the appreciation for Beloit grows and grows, but the appreciation flows in the other direction, from your alma mater to you, just as strongly, which brings me to a slightly sore subject. For what it is worth, the famous college rankings from U.S. News and World Report concoct those rankings solely from measures of inputs. Not a single measure of output is included. The Kate leveling metric of living a life you want to live is utterly absent from U.S. News and World Report, nor is any other measure of the value added from a college. So taking this one step further, and at the risk of being a touch instrumental, the evidence is that liberal arts college graduates from the upper Midwest will earn about $11,000 more per year than graduates from Midwestern public universities. $11,000 per year on average. Great. But what about the incremental debt that these students have to take on? Nope. There is very little difference in debt students take on from these schools, these liberal arts colleges versus public universities on average, extremely little. How little? The average differential debt you will pay from a liberal arts school versus a state university is about 2 lattes per month. About $130 per year. At $11,000 per year, average salary differential only slightly offset by about $130 per year debt differential. That is a 20% net income differential every year going to the average liberal arts college graduate, 20%. No wonder nearly every college-age child of every economist I know attends a liberal arts college. On the occasion of this college's 25th anniversary, President Aaron Chapin addressed a gathering not unlike this one. "Alma mater," he said, "looks fondly on your faces. Her heart swells with worthy pride as she reviews the lives you have been living since you went out from her charge, and she borrows the honors you have won and wears them like jewels for her adornment today. Your presence fills her heart with gladness and her face with smiles. So you ask, when did my life become the measure of an institution? The answer is the moment you became a Beloiter. You can't avoid it. In fact, you have a responsibility to embrace it, to own it, to champion it. As keepers of the college's name, you must not keep it to yourself. This is one of the reasons why the Distinguished Service Citations and Young Alumni Award are so meaningful. Dr. Tom Casadevall, class of 1969, Dr. Sudha Pavuluri Kwame, class of 1994, Erika Weiss Mazalewski, class of 2009. You are three of our jewels, and we bask in your reflected glory. We celebrate Beloit College's alumni, you, through the metaphors of our Distinguished Service Citation and Young Alumni Award winners. Alumni are unavoidably the external evidence of the college's worth. Better evidence we could not hope for. It is a great day to be a Beloiter. I turn this over to Brooks Rindell, class of 1999, who will move this program along.
Thanks, Scott. It is my great honor to welcome you here today to join me in recognizing the recipients of the 2019 Beloit College Distinguished Service Citations and Young Alumni Award. In awarding the DSC and Young Alumni Awards, Beloit College and the Alumni Association have endeavored to recognize those alumni leading extraordinary lives of purposeful consequence and being the living embodiments of the mission of Beloit College. Today's honorees will join arms with past recipients, including such Beloit College luminaries as Thomas George Allen, class of 1909, who was a pioneer in the field of Egyptology. He was editorial secretary at the University of Chicago's Oriental Institute, an organization that achieved world fame for its discoveries in Egypt. Myrtle Shah, class of 1919, received her degree summa cum laude, the only student to achieve the distinction in 1919. Her career spanned 35 years as a bacteriologist at the New York State Department of Health. Her in-depth research included a groundbreaking study on the effect of toxins on living tissue. Arthur N. Weimer, class of 1929, was dean of the Indiana University School of Business from 1939 to 1963. A professor of real estate and land economics, Weimer wrote numerous books, including The Principles of Real Estate, a leading textbook in the field. Robert Ehrman, class of 1939, taught history at Beloit College from 1948 to 1980. He also served as a college archivist. James Duffy, class of 1949, served 15 years as president of the ABC television network. He initiated several successful public services campaigns, including Project Literacy. James J. Flood, class of 1949, served on the Beloit College Board of Trustees from 1984 to 1993, a successful entrepreneur, longtime advocate for the YMCA and Beloit College, and continuing his legacy of being Beloit, the reason why I stand here today before you. These are the luminaries to which we point when we ask who we hope our students will become. And now these four will join those recipients of Beloit College's highest honors, the Distinguished Service Citation and the Young Alumni Award. It's now my pleasure to get this going here. Presentation of awards, let's see here. I now have the honor and privilege of introducing the 2019 Distinguished Service Citation and Young Alumni Awards recipients. Please join me in welcoming Beloit College Professor Emeritus Hank the Chief Woodard to introduce our first Distinguished Service Citation recipient, Dr. Tom Casadevall of the class of 1969.
I see before me a great deal of print. I can't read any of it. This is not the first time I have been asked to introduce Tom Casadevall to a Beloit audience. In fact, it's the third time. Tom and I, ever since he graduated, Tom and I have been relatively close to one another, and he's often, well, at least reasonably often, revisited Beloit to join in our various kinds of activities. Two of those activities dealt with our program for Senior Learning Unlimited, SLU. I happen to be a board member of SLU and have been ever since it was first organized by the Dean of Beloit College. The first program that Tom offered to that group, and I don't have the exact title, so I'll just give you this one. It's Bicycling Across North America. If that sounds like a geologist, you're wrong. The second one, and more recent one, was a report from Tom about his activities on the Korean Peninsula, both geological and anthropological, because Tom was a double major in anthropology first and ultimately in geology, for which he spent another full term at Beloit just trying to figure out what was going on with that stuff. And it's true that after he left Beloit, he got his PhD and MA degrees in geochemistry at Penn State University. But ultimately, after some experience with a mining company in Colorado, he joined the U.S. Geological Survey, one of probably the most important research organizations in the world relative to the history of the Earth and geology. Ultimately, he became head of the Geological Survey's Western Division, and ultimately head of the entire survey. He's now, of course, retired, as I am, and he deserves the recognition that we are here going to honor him with. We thank him for coming. Thanks, Tom, for being a student of mine. By the way, I should add this. We think of the class of 59, for example, as being those individuals who entered the college as freshmen. Tom did not enter the college as a freshman. He was one of those small number of transfer students. And I've had a number of these transfer students over the years at Beloit College, and they've all been super. And Tom Casadevall is super as well. Thanks for coming, Tom, and I wish you every good luck with retirement. your turn.
Thanks very much, Chief. It was, what can I say? The last time I was here, I sat right up in these pews with Nancy Clark. Some of you remember her from our class. And we watched, do you know who we watched on the stage here? Gene McCarthy. Remember when he came the same year, he came in February of '68, and about a month and a half later, we had Richard Milhouse Nixon, who filled the auditorium here. So this was part of the luminous group of people we were privileged as students to see. I do have a few remarks, and I'd like to sort of share those with you. First of all, I want to thank all those who made this possible. I'm not sure who made it possible. I just got a note one day that it would be great if I could come to the reunion. My friend Rick Brooks was very persuasive, and so I was here. And then I only found out a few weeks ago about this recognition. So thanks very much, Rick and others. As Chief said, I transferred to Beloit in the fall of 1966 from Illinois Wesleyan University, which was straight down Highway 51. A professor there named Virginia Dale, social sciences professor, recognized that Beloit was the place to be for anthropology. At the time, my family was living in Argentina, in Buenos Aires. My father worked for a company there, and so when I came to Beloit, it was with a Buenos Aires address. Awaiting me at the Greyhound bus station in front of the Beloit pharmacy in September of 1966 was Bud Whiteford. He knew I was from Argentina because he'd seen my address, and he was very worried that my English might not be too good. And I also have a Spanish surname. My grandfather came from Barcelona. So I think Bud was pretty convinced that this young man was coming all the way from Argentina to join Beloit, and he better be there just to make sure I didn't get lost in the big city. Dr. Whiteford was my advisor and mentor in the field of Latin American social anthropology. His textbook on 2 cities of Latin America remains a classic today. You can go on Amazon, and for a lot of money, you can buy your original copy. I happen to have 2 copies if anyone would like an extra. But it's a classic. It's a terrific book. That first service at Beloit, that first semester at Beloit in the fall of '66, I took a seminar. It was the very first college seminar I'd ever taken from John Kemmler. How many of you might have remembered Professor Kemmler? Okay, a terrific guy. And the name of that seminar was called Tension Areas of the World. It was my first college seminar and still one of the most memorable classes I ever took. For my tension areas, I chose Argentina, which is where I was living. And you might not remember, but in June of 1966, there was one of the frequent military coups. I happened to be down there when the tanks rolled through the suburb where I was living called Olivos, and saw firsthand the exchange of power. It was somewhat peaceful because no shots were fired. Okay. I also chose Indonesia. And again, remember the summer of '66, what happened in Indonesia, our summer. Sukarno fell. And so ironically, a few years later, 20 years later, I would move to Indonesia to live there for 3.5 years, working for the U.S. Geological Survey as an advisor to the Indonesian government. Professor Kemmler's course made a deep impression on me, and to this day frames my thinking about international crises, international situations. And over a beer or over a soda or lemonade or tea, I can still talk to you about things I learned in that course. It was very, very powerful. In the fall of 1967, I had to take a science class and was told that Geology 101 would fit the bill. I'd already traveled in Latin America, and I'd seen volcanoes firsthand in southern South America, Argentina, Chile, and also in Guatemala, where I'd gone to sort of further my social anthropology interests. So with my friends Giannina Petrillo, George Wenzel, and Rick Brooks, the four of us signed up for Geology 101 with Professor Hank Woodard. Professor Woodard was the teacher, and his class not only introduced me to a remarkably knowledgeable teacher, but to a person who had a clear enthusiasm and interest in a topic that set the standard for how I wanted to live my life. He had gusto, he had energy, he had enthusiasm, and he said all this in the great out of doors. Just before Christmas break of 1967, Chief asked me into his office. We were going to get our final grades, and lo and behold, I did pretty well. I didn't consider myself a science person. I was scheduled to spend my winter semester in Costa Rica on my field term for my anthropology major. Chief said to me, and this is almost a verbatim quote, "Well, Mr. Casadeval, I think you should consider studying geology. You have an aptitude for the subject. If you return in January and sign up for historical geology and mineralogy, I believe you could get a double major in geology." So, I did. Beloit at that time offered a 9th term, and with the help of that 9th term, I was able to complete my geology major. I followed Chief's advice. My anthropology thesis, in case you want to refer to it, is on the ethics of applied anthropology, and my advisors were Bud Whiteford and Marco Bicchieri. My geology thesis was another all-time classic here at Beloit. It's on the origin of glauconite in the St. Peter sandstone of southern Wisconsin. I'm sure you can go to the respective departments and refresh your memories on those great sellers. Okay? The last experience I'd like to share with you came in my upper class common course. It was the fall of 1968. Remember what happened in 1968. Started in March or February, watching McCarthy here. In late April, we watched eventually President Nixon over in the field house. It was also the summer of the Democratic Convention in Chicago. I wasn't there, but I did have Beloit colleagues or friends who were there. My group project in the upper class common course was to spend the weekend in Chicago. I thought we'd go down and watch, I think it was called Second City. It was the comedy show, and we were going down. We were going to have a great time. We were to stay that weekend at a small church in inner city Chicago and carry out a small project to investigate what we today would envision or describe as income inequality. The minister at this church suggested that we survey the cost of groceries at markets near his church and also cost of groceries in stores in the adjacent communities, the white suburbs. This pastor was named Jesse Jackson. His programmatic slogan for our experience was, and you remember? The poor pay more. Okay? And I think as a Beloit guy coming up in a middle-class environment, I thought, what do you mean the poor pay more? You pay for groceries the same in the inner city as you pay out in the suburbs. Well, we found out with dramatic effect that that was not true. And it was Jackson who was so stimulating, so inspiring to sort of raise this element of social awareness for me. And this became my introduction to what we now would refer to as income inequality. And it flavors a lot of my thinking today. These are several vignettes of my Beloit experience. I was indeed fortunate to have visited Beloit from Illinois Wesleyan, to transfer here in 1966, to have had my friends and faculty members, my experience, and the support of the Beloit community, which I'm very grateful continues to this day. Thank you all very much.
Dr. Sudha Pavuluri Kwame of the class of 1994 is our next Distinguished Service Citation recipient. Here to introduce her is Beloit College staff emeritus, and as decades of Beloiters know him as a longtime Dean of Students, Bill Flanagan.
Well, first of all, it's great to be up here and to look out over the audience and see so many familiar faces. Hey, Ed, I didn't see you earlier. It's great to see you. I am deeply grateful for the opportunity to introduce my dear friend, Dr. Sudha Pavuluri Kwame, for her well-deserved Distinguished Service Citation, Beloit College's highest honor, and to be able to congratulate Tom and Erika for their awards as well. My sincerest congratulations to each of you. Dr. Pavuluri Kwame embodies the college's aspiration for all of her alumni to live lives of purposeful consequence. Sudha has done so from the time she arrived on campus in 1990. Once Sudha stepped foot on campus, she was all in, as you will hear when I read her citation. But what the citation misses is the manner in which Sudha actually lives a life of purposeful consequence. She is, at all times, a woman of impeccable character, intelligence, distinguished, articulate, caring, composed, and deeply devoted to her family, her career, and the college. She is also one of the most passionate sports fans I have ever met, including her beloved Beloit College Bucks. She has a particular affection for the college's athletics program, especially men's basketball, where she met the love of her life, Erika Kwame. There is one memory in particular that demonstrates the intelligence, dignity, class, and confidence that Sudha exhibits each and every day. Sudha was fortunate to be a recipient of a Moore Family Scholarship, which helped finance her undergraduate education. As a Moore Family Scholar, she was hand-selected to represent all Moore Family Scholars during a memorial service here in this chapel for one of Beloit's most enthusiastic, beloved, and generous supporters, Harry Moore. She was fabulous on that day, and her words helped the college mourning his loss. I felt her insights about Harry, including personal anecdotes and good humor, truly captured the hearts and minds of our community, and were genuinely reflective of all the Moore Family Scholars who benefited from this important source of financial support. The Beloit College, finally, I'm also grateful that Sudha represents her generation of Beloiters as a member of our Board of Trustees. Her wisdom and insights about campus and student life, learned through personal experience, enriches the discussion and decision-making process vitally important at this critically important period in the college's history. Her insights about the role of a trustee became so apparent to me when she and former Dean of Students, Dr. Christina Clawitter, spoke to my UW-Madison Governance and Administration of Colleges and Universities course last fall. Together, they helped these graduate students truly understand the roles and relationships between a board of trustees and the people appointed to manage the day-to-day operations of a small, private, residential liberal arts college. It was one of the best and most interactive classes during the semester, although Scott Bierman did a pretty nice job too when he spoke to the class later that semester. Beloit is fortunate for Sudha's continuing involvement with the college, and we owe her a deep debt of gratitude for all she has done for this great college during the past 29 years. So today, we have the opportunity to say thank you with the following citation, which describes why Sudha is so richly deserving of the Distinguished Service Citation from her beloved Beloit College, which I will now read. The Beloit College Alumni Association is pleased to award the Distinguished Service Citation to Dr. Sudha Pavuluri Kwame, class of 1994, on this, her 25th reunion. Sudha once described her time at Beloit as a series of aha moments. As a 16-year-old, she traveled from her home in the Bahamas to Wisconsin. Once on campus, the self-proclaimed #1 Green Bay Packer fan in the Bahamas, made the most of her time. Sudha was an athletic trainer and manager for the men's and women's basketball teams, a varsity tennis player, an intramural athlete, a teaching assistant, a student dispatcher for security, a writer for the Roundtable, and most notably, one of the few women broadcasters for the football games on WBCR. She also met her husband, Eric Kwame, class of '96, at the college. After graduating from Beloit, Sudha spent 9 years in the United Kingdom earning advanced degrees. She received her master's degree in biochemistry and genetics from the University of Newcastle and a medical degree from the University of Nottingham in England, specializing in cancer research before coming back to Wisconsin. She now works in the University of Wisconsin School of Medicine and Public Health's Department of Surgery as a clinical research physician. Ninth College President Victor E. Farrell once described Sudha as a leader who brought enthusiasm and commitment to her time at Beloit. She's never lost that, serving as a former Alumni Association board member and currently as a college trustee. For her commitment to the college and for leading a life of purposeful consequence, the Alumni Association is thrilled to count Dr. Sudha Pavuluri Kwame among the accomplished Beloit alumni who have received the Alumni Association's highest honor, the Distinguished Service Citation. Dr. Pavuluri Kwame.
Didn't think I was going to cry. Good morning. Thank you, Bill, for that extremely kind introduction. Congratulations to my fellow colleagues. I would like to thank the Alumni Association Board of Directors for this honor, which I humbly accept, though I personally believe that there are others from the class of 1994 who are much more deserving. Those who have done more to reflect credit on Beloit College through their chosen profession, social activism, or volunteerism. But I will stake claim to the fact that I don't know if there are many of my classmates who feel more gratitude towards Beloit College than I do. Beloit College took a chance on a 16-year-old from the Bahamas who had never been to the Midwest or seen snow until that first semester of freshman year. In so many ways, I grew up on this campus, and the people I interacted with, faculty, staff, classmates, gave more to me than I could ever give back. And as you've already heard, I even met my husband here almost 28 years ago. I gave him his tour. But I don't actually remember him. I only remember his dad, because Dad asked all these questions. It is my sincerest hope that my fellow alums never forget the impact Beloit College had on each of their lives, and that all of us can find ways to honor this place and contribute to its success and legacy. After all, we might never have found our way to Beloit College had it not been for the actions and generosity of those who came before us. While it is no secret that our college is facing challenges, I have confidence in those who lead this institution, those who teach here, and those who serve it in so many ways. And as it has always been, there are talented students here doing amazing things all over campus, in the local community, nationally and internationally. I am proud to be a Beloiter. I will cherish this honor, and I thank you all for being here this weekend and for your continued support of our college. Thank you.
I'm now honored to announce the next distinguished recipient, Erika Weiss Mazaliski of the class of 2009. Here to introduce her is Director of Community-Based Learning, Duffy Community Partnerships Coordinator, and Sociology Instructor, Carol Wickersham.
Good morning. Congratulations to all of you. I am delighted to have the honor of introducing Erika Weiss Mazaleski as this year's recipient of the Beloit College Young Alumni Award. If Beloit College's mission statement were a fill-in-the-blank exam, this is the way I think, Erika has already passed with flying colors. A life marked by high achievement, check. Personal responsibility and public contribution, check, check. And remember, Erika is just getting started. Her accomplishments speak for themselves. Erika graduated cum laude from Beloit College with a bachelor's in sociology, concentrating in business entrepreneurship. After graduation, Erika plunged right back into the community, doing nonprofit work, starting with an AmeriCorps Vista Year of Service project at Community Action, focusing on neighborhood revitalization and strengthening the college's partnership with the community. She went on to work with a wide diversity of organizations, from healthcare to the arts to environment and education, including serving as Senior Director of Development at Roosevelt University Colleges of Arts and Science. With each move, she accumulated expertise, honed her skills in development, project management, and shaping philanthropic agendas. Along the way, she continued to couple her experience with rigorous academic analysis, pursuing a Master's of Public Administration focused on nonprofit management from Roosevelt. Not surprising, she was invited back there as a faculty member to share her hands-on, heads-engaged learning. This year, Erika joined the team at Giving Tree Associates dedicated to helping nonprofits fulfill their missions to do good in the world by achieving sustainable growth. In addition to her professional work, Erika has worked as a mentor and board member at many, many organizations, including her beloved Beloit College, serving on the alumni board. Erika simply does the right thing very well. But all of these accomplishments fail to capture what I think makes Erika a true standout and a most deserving recipient of this honor. So I want to give you just a moment to get a sense of Erika, who was my student and is now my colleague. A transition which I think is the most satisfying transition I can watch my students make. Together as colleagues, even though in separate communities, we share the serious fun of working to make this world a better place. I say fun because if there's one word I would use to characterize Erika, it would be exuberance. It goes without saying that Erika is smart, creative, dedicated, but what I also know is Erika is irrepressibly positive. She sees possibilities and she goes for it. In particular, Erika seeks out experiences that couple her sense of service and deepen her learning. She was selected as a scholar in the Duffy Community Partnerships and placed at Caritas Food Pantry as her field site. She was not content for a moment with the considerable work of serving neighbors in need there. No, she wanted to understand the dynamics of the community and also the dynamics of this nonprofit organization. So she designed and implemented a market analysis which resulted in a rebranding campaign. Remember, she's an undergraduate. Once she got there was nothing stopping her. She soon was recruiting her sorority sisters to help fund the cause. And then she was going door to door in the community asking for funds and support. And the next thing you knew, she had gotten folks pro bono to put up mobile billboards for Caritas on the buses in town. And every time I got stuck in traffic behind one of those buses, I just burst with pride. Finally, even more than that, you need to know that Erika is one of the richest people I know. And I don't mean money. I'm talking about something way more valuable. Erika is rich in social networks. This was evident when she was an undergraduate here, and even more so as a young professional who seems to somehow know everyone in Chicago. Erika is genuinely interested in people. She wants to understand what they care about. And this is what makes her so incredibly good at her work. She brings out the best in others and then shows them ways to put their best intentions into action. For all of these reasons, and on behalf of Beloit College, I am proud and grateful to present Erika with the Young Alumni Award.
Thank you, Carol. Some more tears over here. And congratulations. I'm so honored to be sitting next to both of you. Hi, Beloit. I'm so excited to be back at Beloit. And as you may have been able to see when I'm walking up, I'm currently in the process of making a future Beloiter. But no pressure, of course, for our future child. I am humbled and grateful to be this year's recipient of Beloit's Young Alumni Award. The beauty of what this award symbolizes, a commitment to Beloit and to my community, are fittingly both attributes that I learned while attending Beloit. I want to acknowledge all of the phenomenal previous Young Alumni Award recipients, which began with my first sociology professor, Professor Charles Westerberg. This is truly how Beloit works. Everything coming full circle, and Beloiters supporting one another, educating each other, and paving the way for each other's successes. To say I am thankful to have found Beloit while trying to decide where to go to college while growing up in Los Angeles is an understatement. Beloit changed my life. I want to say thank you so much to Carol, who was an avid supporter of my efforts during my time at Beloit. She continued supporting me long after I graduated as an ongoing mentor as well as a dear friend. I came to Beloit because I was excited about learning and being in an environment smaller than my 4,000 student high school, and I was certain Beloit would be a place where there was an emphasis on exploring my curiosities and figuring out a career that I'd be passionate about for years to come. At Beloit, the hands-on experiential learning opportunities are priceless. I started my career in college, even if I didn't know it at the time. I was fortunate to have been a Duffy intern and was placed at Caritas, a local food and clothing pantry. I was enjoying helping them in fundraising, branding, and marketing, as Carol mentioned earlier. And I relayed these passions to Carol, who explained to me that all these skills could be applied to a professional career and development. During that time, I was able to bring my Caritas Duffy experiences back into the classroom to gain an understanding of the root causes of the mission I was serving and the social problems being addressed through their efforts. At Beloit, I learned about the value of social impact, of being the change you want to see in the world. Lessons like those from the classroom, which led to my understanding of the importance of being mission-driven in a nonprofit setting, has 100% contributed to my career success as a fundraiser. Similarly, so has being able to digest best practices while knowing how to think outside the box and being creative when applying them. This is what a liberal arts education can teach us, using tangible, real-world skills to find a job that you look forward to attending day after day, knowing that you're making the world a better place. Beloit also gave me friends who became my family and who hold these same core values within their lives. We bond over being lucky to have found each other at this institution, which gave us purpose as we made our way into the world. Finally, I want to thank Beloit for the indirect introduction to my husband, whom I met via my best friend from college. Beloit is truly the gift that keeps on giving in every possible way. Beloiters will always be Beloit. I am so honored to be on this stage today and to be listed as a Young Alumni Award recipient among individuals who I've been able to learn from, who inspire me, and most importantly, who have changed the world. Thank you for this award, but mostly, thank you for the Beloit community that fosters forever friends, forever learning, and forever using your knowledge and individual gifts to give back to others through it all. What a privilege it is to forever be a Beloit alumna. Thank you.
I'm not going to cry. My name is John Urish. I'm over in the Development and Alumni Affairs office. First of all, whoever called in the favor to Mother Nature to give us the weather we've had this weekend, thank you for that. This is absolutely stunning. Tom, I've only gotten to know you in the last 16 hours, but I would love to share that beer with you, maybe or maybe not to discuss your anthro thesis, but we can talk for sure. This has been really fun for me. I overlapped with Sudha for 2 years. She's promised that she would not share anything that shouldn't be shared. But it's a delight to see you up here. And Erika, this is just a trip for me. I spent almost 20 years doing admissions and financial aid, and I actually had the chance to help recruit Erika. And so to flash forward 15 years later and see what she's doing, well, I'm not surprised, is still just amazing. We were having breakfast this morning over at Scott's house, and I may or may not have talked to Frank and Eric, and there's some of us that are married to Beloiters. Some of you may not know this or feel the same way, but we definitely married up, and the evidence is right here, so congratulations to all three of you. So I've got you captive here, but I also know you'd probably like to get out of here. We have one final item of Alumni Association business to cover. Reunion, as you've no doubt witnessed, is a time of celebration. We already celebrated the incredible achievements of this year's DSC recipients and Young Alumni Award winner. Well, we have 3 more awards to make today. First, the class gift honors. This year, the 50th reunion class, the class of 1969, is comfortably ahead with a current total giving this year of $248,655. And if you're not satisfied with that, the fiscal year does not end until June 30th, so you don't have to stop. Congratulations to you, and thank you for all that you do. Next, we have one of the longest-running traditions at the reunion weekend, the Class Cup. Now, like all Beloit traditions, there's a little bit of a story here. The first cup, the Class of 1908 Cup, is awarded at each reunion to the class with the highest percentage of their alumni attending reunion. Now, this was a smart class. As a small class, bookended on either side by 2 large classes, they knew they would almost always win the cup. And they did. Well, the class of 1909 was not a group who took to losing well, particularly to this small group of upstarts in the class of 1908. So, like good Beloiters, they endeavored to change the environment in which they were operating. They created their own class cup. The class of 1909 Cup is awarded at reunion to the class with the highest number of alumni attending reunion, not percentage, but the total number. Only a handful of times before has one class won both awards. And I'm pleased to say that this is one of those times. Would the representatives of the class of 1969 please come forward to accept your honors? Come on up here. Somebody. Who wants the big one? Thank you very much. I don't know. Congratulations. We're going to fill them up with beer later. And magical weekend. It's a weekend where Beloiters from all corners of the country, in fact, all points on the globe, come home to reflect, to remember, and reconnect to each other, to our alma mater, and to our Beloit College. It's a weekend of traditions new and old, and as the executive director of the Alumni Association, I hope that coming home for reunion, for homecoming, to speak to a class, to mentor a student, to show your own children or grandchildren the wonders of Beloit, or just because, I hope that coming home becomes a tradition to you. Your college, our college, Beloit College, welcomes you home. It's great to see your faces. We hope that you will join us all at the alumni picnic out on the Pearson's lawn under the tent. I thank you all for being here, and I wish you a wonderful afternoon. Thank you. You're free to go.